I mean, he reached down deep to get that performance out of himself for that third-place finish, and I was very impressed. John Nuttall improving over last year's performance. Granted, it is a little cooler here by almost 45 seconds.
Let's take a look at the team standings now, and it is still a very tight affair, but that 1-2-3 finish by Iowa State has the Cyclones 12 points up, 174 to 162 for Nebraska, and it all comes down to that 4x400 meter relay coming up. We can the women's 4x400 meter relay. Stay with us on Prime Network. Now for the women's 4x400 meter relay team.
Could be an exciting. I didn't want to jump on you, but exciting competition between Nebraska and Kansas State.
Quickly looking at the lane assignments, Kansas will be in lane 2, Missouri in lane 3, Iowa State 4, Nebraska 5, Kansas State 6, Colorado 7, and Oklahoma in lane 8. And watch for Nebraska and Kansas State. There's the collegiate record, the Big 8 mark of 3:36.03, and the NCAA qualifying standard of 3:35.
I'll tell you what, Nebraska has a shot at it. They've run 3:33 this year at the Jamaica Relays. This is an opportunity for them to do it. We'll just have to see how the handoffs go and how cleanly they run. But Tranquil Wilson leading off for Nebraska, Deborah Malone leading off for Kansas State.
And Tranquil Wilson going out strongly for Nebraska. Running in lane 5, Kansas State in lane 6. And Malone now trying to hang on against Tranquil Wilson. And they come down the first straightaway just about dead even. Deborah Malone and Tranquil Wilson, and now Malone pulling into a slight lead as she gets ready to hand it off. And she will give it off with about a 5-meter edge to Ellery Pesmark.
Right now, Ellery Pesmark has run on a team with them before. They ran 3:39 in an earlier meet this year outdoors, and she's now cutting to the inside.
Kelly Westenreiter is running in the number 2's position for Nebraska.
Notice Iowa State right now hanging in there.
And moving into second place now.
Guess who that is?
I know who that is. You tell me who that is. No, I know who that is.
Or Edith Natiengi.
And look at her fly, too.
What an interesting leg to put her on. Rather than put her on the anchor leg, they put her in the second leg. And, you know, this is shades of the 4x100. When Iowa State and the men came by and not figured to do anything and came in first.
Natiengi with really about a 10-meter lead when she comes in. Kansas State running second, Nebraska running third.
Well, she handed off to number 1047 for Iowa State. And she's getting eaten up.
And that's Leah Pearson, who was just swallowed up by Nikki Green.
And remember, Nikki Green ran well in the 400-meter dash. She came in third overall in 53.6, so no wonder she got eaten up.
And that's Susan Hedrick running for Nebraska on the third leg here and trying to catch and move into second position. But right now it is Nikki Green handing Kansas State a big lead as she comes down the final stretch home, and she will give it off to Markia Jones.
This is going to be a race.
Markia Jones with a lead of about 10 meters. And for Nebraska in that fourth leg, it will be Chanel Porter.
Now, Chanel Porter is a very quick athlete. Remember, she was second in the 400. You watch her close, 52.3 in the quarter. This is going to be a race still, though.
But it just looks almost impossible for her to make up ground, that much ground, on Markia Jones. Markia Jones is running very fluidly, and really, as far as Chanel Porter is concerned, second place is what she's looking for now.
Evidently, you're right. Markia Jones is looking just simply too strong. She's actually going to have to fight off
and Porter,
the athlete from Nebraska.
Porter trying to get second place, striding hard. And will she get it?
No.
No.
Great race, though.
But Kansas State, anchored by Markia Jones, comes up a winner, and really you can credit Deborah Malone, who got off to the great start on the first leg.
Very important points for Kansas State. Very important points for Kansas State.
So a big victory for the Lady Wildcats in the 4x400 meter relay.
Classic tactics by Iowa State to throw a very quick second leg on their relay.
And we're going to take a quick look right now when Nikki Green takes the third leg for Kansas State. And Nikki Green really put some muscle into it. You saw Nengi put away about a 10-meter lead.
Oh, at least.
And watch Nikki Green right now.
Oh, you can see her legs turning over twice as fast as the other great athletes doing. And right there on the far turn, or the near turn, she passes her and going away and just does not look back. Nikki Green again, a 53-second quarter earlier on today.
She really just reeled in Leah Pearson.
And look at how strong she is in the upper body. Just very, very muscular, dedicated sprinter and middle distance athlete. And they're all running quickly. I mean, these aren't slow quarters you're seeing out there.
No, she turned in an exceptional time and really made up a difference in total of about 25 meters.
Unbelievable.
And there was the handoff to Markia Jones, and then Markia Jones just cruising on in. And you see in the background Chanel Porter trying to get second place for the Cornhuskers, but came up about a yard short.
Tell me Markia Jones is not delighted to be over with that race.
Well, thanks to that outstanding third leg by Nikki Green of Kansas State, the Wildcats come away with a victory in the 4x400 meter relay. 3:36.35 their official time. Iowa State finishes second, 3:39.45. Nebraska, the favorite, coming in 3:39.53. Kansas fourth, Colorado fifth, and Oklahoma sixth. And the team totals, boy, Nebraska just really put down the hammer on the Wildcats. That's a new record point total in Big 8 competition.
Amazing that, I mean, I came into this meet convinced that Kansas State could challenge, but Nebraska was powerful.
And we'll be back with the men's 4x400 meter finals when we return on Prime Net. Men's championship. Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, and Nebraska. So Iowa State, Nebraska out in lanes 7 and 8 in this event. Kansas State in lane 6. And those are really the teams you want to keep an eye on.
Drew Goodman said that this is one of the most exciting races in track, and I agree with him. The 4x400.
A clean start, and running for Nebraska will be Ken Waller. For Ken, up a lot of ground right now.
Oh my gosh, Kansas State's coming up so quickly.
He just blew by Iowa State's Mark Eversden.
And that's hard to do.
But Ken Waller on the outside is hanging on to that lead, and as they come off the stagger, they should come out just about even. In fact, Waller hanging on to about a 5-meter lead. And here comes Eversden now.
That's what I said. Eversden's a tough guy just to blow by. Eversden may catch Kansas State right there at the handoff, and he will.
An excellent first leg by Waller as he hands off to Mark Jackson. Adrian Johnson running the second leg for Kansas State. But right now it is Mark Jackson with the lead.
Keep in mind, for Nebraska, we've got an anchor of Thomas Molnar, and that will be an interesting anchor if they need him.
Of about 10 meters as he comes down the straightaway.
Oklahoma is trying to close.
Jackson will hand off to Jerry Marcy. And Marcy with a lead of about 15 meters as he heads around the first turn. And Marcy, when he comes around, will give off to Thomas Molnar.
Now you got to think about Oklahoma. If they get a guy in there with Rouser anchoring, that could be so spectacular.
We are uncertain at this point who is running the third leg for Oklahoma. We're trying to check it out, but he's putting on a great sprint at the moment.
I tell you what, he is coming up on the shoulder of Nebraska. He cannot do it, though.
Marcy with a strong finish. Gives off to Molnar.
There's Molnar, and there's Jason Rouser.
And Rouser has had a spectacular day. And the question is, can he make up the ground on Molnar?
Jason Rouser a 45.19 earlier today, winning the men's 400-meter dash. And he is closing on Molnar. Now, if Molnar's leg can hang on, I mean, remember, he's got a hurt hamstring. He's going to have to run the race of his life to hold off the likes of Jason Rouser. This is going to come right down to the wire. These guys are smoking.
Rouser coming off the turn with about 7 meters to close on Molnar, and the question is, can he do it? Here he comes.
Watkins, a 46.7 guy in third place, but smoking. Here comes Jason Rouser. Thomas Molnar at the end.
What a finish.
I don't know. I think he got him. I think Jason Rouser got him. And Oklahoma is cheering all over this track.
What a final leg by Jason Rouser.
Oh, man, I got to see that again.
Thomas Molnar put on a great finish of his own and trying to hold off Rouser, but Rouser in those final 10 to 15 meters really stretched it out.
Drew Goodman could not have been more, prophetic when he said how great the 4x400 is, and that man just made it so exciting.
He has had an outstanding meet, and he closes it here. Now, this is the third leg where Oklahoma trying to close in
on Nebraska's.
Jerry Marcy was hanging on and did a great job. Gave Molnar about a 10-meter lead.
And then Kansas State trying to come back with Tyrone Watkins. And that's a heck of a guy to have chasing you. And there's Thomas Molnar of Hungary.
As he came around that second turn and down the backstretch. And you can see he's got a pretty good lead right now.
Keep in mind, he's a 45-second quarter miler, too. But if you had Jason Rouser breathing down your neck, you'd be concerned. You'd be running for, like he is, running for your life.
Now, here is where Rouser really starts to close the gap. As he comes around that turn, he suddenly makes up about 4 or 5 meters.
Oh, and everything that he can do to keep from tying up Molnar is starting to tie up, but he keeps moving his arms. He's very strong upper body, but no matter what, here comes Jason Rouser.
Oh, and what a finish. And we'll get another angle to see if Rouser was able to get him at the tape. And look at that leg extension.
Oh, what a stride length. Strength and speed on both guys.
Boy, I'll tell you, he got him by quite a distance in the end. A distance of about a chest.
Yeah,
let's go down to Drew Gilman now. Drew Goodman, rather, to Jason Rouser.
I'm just as befuddled. That was unbelievable. Jason, you had to make up about 10 meters. Was there a doubt in your mind?
Yes, there was. There was a lot of doubt in my mind. I knew Thomas Molnar was strong, but he was hurt during the indoor season, and I wanted the team to qualify. And I was determined to win that race.
You didn't win it by much. When did you feel that you had a shot? Final 100 meters?
The final 100 meters. I knew I could out-sprint him just like I did in the 200 meters.
We were talking about your confidence. We were talking about the excitement of the 4x400 meter relay. You have to watch this later on because it doesn't get any better in any sport than that. You were something special today.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, enjoy it, Jason. He's still catching his breath, obviously. Duke, back your way.
Yeah, he is drenched in sweat. Hi, Mom. Yeah, it's worth a hi, Mom, right there. Unofficially 3:05.5.
3:03.5.
3:03.5. That is well under the national qualifying mark for the NCAA.
Oh, they could take this team to the NC2As in Eugene. They should, because it's a great team. And here they come down the stretch. One more look at it. Thomas Molnar coming off an injury in the indoor season. Jason Rouser coming off no injuries, coming off a high from winning so many races today. And here he is adding one more to his victory list.
And I tell you, it's a spectacular stride that he's got there. Look at the length he's taking up with every stride.
You know, this time he didn't have his hands in the air, before the finish, did he?
No, but they were flying hard down the stretch. Look at them pumping. And let's go back down now to Drew Goodman.
Just so you're aware, one of the Oklahoma coaches, albeit it's on the stopwatch by hand and is not official, had that split in 43.8. 43.8. We know track, that's something else.
Boy, that's a heck of a time.
Tell you what, I wish Butch Reynolds was here right now to hear that time. He just go, that was a decent split. But I tell you what, you got a running start. There's a couple of things that meter into this thing, but nevertheless, incredibly good performance.
The official winning time for the Oklahoma Sooners, 3:03.53. Nebraska just 5/100ths of a second behind at 3:03.58. Kansas State finishing third at 3:03.95. Iowa State, an important finish there at 3:10.20, taking fourth place points.
A very impressive performance. You look at the point totals, 178 points racked up by Iowa State. It did come right down to the final event. Nebraska coming in second with 170 points. Kansas State still had a good showing with 102 points.
The championship goes to the Iowa State Cyclones, and when we come back, Drew Goodman will be talking with Bill Bergen, coach of Iowa State. This has fallen on Ed Weir Stadium on the campus of the University of Nebraska here in Lincoln for the 1991 Big 8 Outdoor Track and Field Championships, and we saw some great performances here today, didn't we, Cree?
Remarkable performances, and an awful lot of athletes have qualified outright and provisionally to go to the NC2As in Eugene, Oregon. And that is testimony to the quality and the depth of the athletic ability of the athletes that populate the Big 8 conference.
You know, you mentioned something about the 4x400 being one of the most exciting events out there. It's the last event of the meet, and it comes down, you seem to have some great finishes all the time, and a lot of times the meets are decided by that great race, and so it just adds more intensity to it all.
Well, the drama and the spectacle of outdoor track is really typified in the 4x400. Of course, we saw earlier the 4x100, but it's over so quickly, and this is perhaps a prejudice on my part. I like that 4x400. I was never a good quarter. Still, I watch those athletes and I marvel at their ability.
I was a quarter miler. I wasn't a good one. Drew Goodman, and that's a guy who was a great quarter miler. Let's go down to him right now, and he has Bill Bergen, the men's coach for the Iowa State team, which is victorious in the team championship.
What you didn't mention is that the quarter mile I do is in my automobile, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Coach, in the same breath that I congratulate you, I have to ask you, because many people don't realize what a coach does.
I'll bet 7 of the last 8 years. And so we continued that dominance today, and it's been a real key to our success over the past few years.
Bill, you've been at this more than 2 decades. Why such great success at the distances with Iowa State?
Well, I guess that's my favorite area, and we recruit in that area, and we have a tradition of distance runners now. So the young kids come in, they get in the program, they think at a very high level, national class, world class times, because the older guys are here, pull them along. Our training is, I think, highly developed. Our young runners come in and go in with our older guys and build up their mileage, and they just believe in themselves and believe that they can do it, and they can see what has been done in the past. And so it's just a tradition that they want to carry on.
Foreign athletes did exceptionally well today and have done so at Iowa State, Nebraska over the years. How do you recruit athletes from beyond the Atlantic and Pacific?
Well, we use a lot of letters, phone calls, whatever we can. We get a lot of names from the guys on our team. They'll come back from the summer and say, hey, you know, so-and-so is real good, and I happen to get his phone number, or I know where we can get his number, or know where we can get his address. So the athletes on the team help us a lot that way. And the foreign kids, or the English kids, for example, can see what John Nuttall has done, and so the young, good kids over there are anxious to give the program a try, too.
Can you predict what a Nuttall will do in Eugene?
John has a strained, if you can believe it, how he ran the last 2 days, but he does have a sprained quadricep muscle. And Saturday, when he arrived here, he couldn't jog. And we gave him a lot of treatment. He took some Advil. And we just didn't know if he was going to run yesterday at all, and we didn't know if he was going to run today. So he's hurting. If he's healthy, he's in 13:20, 5,000 shape. I know he is.
All right, Coach, congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, it's been a couple of years since Iowa State had taken the outdoor crown. They have it back, Duke.
Bill Bergen became the head coach of the cross-country team back in 1971, the head track and field coach in 76. He has been dubbed the savior of Iowa State track and has really done a great job
in that program over the last 15 or so years. In fact, since 1981, he's led the Cyclones to 16 Big 8 conference titles in track and cross country. Pretty impressive.
Well, it is very impressive, John. He will not only likely to win the NC2As, he'll destroy the NC2As, and it'll be one of the fastest times in the world so far this year until they hit the outdoor season in the summer in Europe.
Well, we're going to be back in just a few moments with some final thoughts on this outstanding 1991 Outdoor Track and Field Championships for the Big 8. It's been a great day of action. We talked about Iowa State winning the team title on the men's side, breaking the 2-year hold that Nebraska had on the men's outdoor championship. But the Nebraska women come up victorious again. They get their 11th consecutive outdoor title. An outstanding performance, and they beat out K-State, who gave them a run with some good competition throughout the meet. But the Nebraska depth was really the difference, Cree.
Nebraska depth was incredible, and you watched as Kansas State started. The coach obviously was sort of programming people into certain areas of competition in hopes of chipping away points, and it worked in a few of the events. But then if you look at how the men did it, you know, Iowa State, strategic placement of athletes, and of course on the women's side, that 4x400 relay, the hammer down and surprise some of the other athletes out there. Very exciting competition today.
Let's go down to Drew Goodman now, and Drew has Gary Pepin, the Nebraska men's and women's coach, so he can talk about both teams' finishes.
You're exactly right. He is the men's and women's coach, so he is elated, obviously, on one hand and a little bit disappointed on the other. It's tough to manage the emotions on a day like this, isn't it?